Jetstream Aqua Massage, located in the Heritage Mall, is your answer for the relaxation you've been looking for. Our massage beds will help you with stress, anxiety, increase circulation, muscle tension, improve sleep, pain reduction, decrease muscle spasms, increase your range of motion, and help with the everyday aches and pains of life. And at only $1 per minute, we'll save you time and money. 20 minutes in one of our machines is equal to 1 hour of traditional massage. We have gift certificates available for the perfect stocking stuffers. All TENS units are on sale now, and don't forget your BioFreeze. Jetstream Aqua Massage. It's not just a massage, it's an experience.
You're listening to Driver Live from the Northwest Race Car Show, presented by Moxie Media Promotions and Jetstream Aqua Massage, live on Spreaker Radio. All right, back on the mic for another segment of Driver Live. Our next interview is with 2016 Supersport Track Champion at Willamette Speedway in the Supersport Division, Mr. Randy Barley. Randy, welcome to the show, a Driver Live segment. Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good-looking car, man. Thanks for bringing the car out and showing it off. Who did your graphics this year?
Clay at Showtime Graphics. I wanted to do something a little different, being a defending champion and stuff, and yeah, he did an awesome job.
He did a great job. The car looks fantastic, and want to give you a congrats on your first track championship in your racing career. And boy, it was a tough one. It came down to the last couple laps of the last race.
Yeah, it did. It's
between you and Winkler and Brian Thompson. I mean, man, oh man, what a season!
Oh, that last race was a little nervous for me. It's,
I bet it was. I mean, given the role that Thompson was on there in the late stages of the season, knowing that you had to finish that last race to hold on to that title, what was it like when you come around under caution and saw that it was for Thompson and he was at a stop down there in turn one?
Oh, I just. I hate to say it. I was hoping it was something maybe a little like it was. I was hoping it wasn't just something quick fix and he'd be right back out, because I'm like, definitely took a little pressure off, but I knew I still had Winkler to worry about. I couldn't screw up either. And yeah, the whole race I was trying to watch that tower and see where the 44 and 88 were on. And
yeah, I bet, because Winkler actually went from third to second in points that night when Thompson broke, and he wasn't too far behind you at the end. He was one of those guys that could have pulled it off, because at the end of the season he was right there with you and Thompson. As far as, I think he had a couple wins himself. You had 3 on the season.
Yeah, I had 3.
Yep, and then you and Thompson put on one heck of a show all year long. But sometimes there's an old saying in racing: sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And that night you take all the luck you can get. I'm not saying that you weren't good. You were great all season long. Consistency pays off, and you walked out with the track championship, man. Job well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the last race I think I got lucky. Nothing broke because the car really wasn't handling the best, but yeah, I got it good enough to just hold everything off. So.
Yeah, and that hardware sitting down there on top of the car looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does. That trophy does look nice.
Yeah, he's the only one that brought his track championship. And that's a trophy.
I would too.
That is a trophy right there.
That is.
What is that thing, about 4 feet tall?
Yeah, it's taller than he is.
No kidding.
Yeah, it took me a lot of years to get that trophy. I've been racing since '98, so yeah. I don't know if I'll get another one or not, but I'm definitely going to be defending my championship. And
you got the chance to come out and defend it. The Super Sport class this year is going to be tough.
Yeah. I know one car, the 74. He's going to be fast. He was real fast there at the last race. Man, he was a rocket.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys that really came on in the late stages of the racing season last year, and Dan Dybel had that Swartz working really well in the slick tires. But again, I think it's going to be between yourself and Dybel and Winkler and I don't know if Thompson sold his Super Sport, so I don't think he's doing anything.
Sold it. I've also heard from Gil Pickett that he's supposed to be back.
Okay.
He told me that at the swap meet. I don't know if he's truly going to keep him back or. But.
I don't know. I've tried to make contact with Gil a couple times over the winter, and he's busy. So
yeah.
Who's that?
Gil Pickett.
Gil Pickett.
Oh yeah.
The 82 car. So 2017 for Randy Barley. What does it look like?
Last year I ran a couple races at the Grove. The season I wasn't even running for points. I just went out there. I had fun. The first race of the season I won the Trophy Dash and then won the main event all on the same night. And I just kept having fun, and then it was about mid-season when I really decided, well, I better keep racing, and so it worked
Well,
out for me
and
last year.
Warren, we've been around the game a long time. You hear these guys that say, okay, my goal this year, I'm going to go out and run for points. They make the dedication to run for points, and what happens? They go out and they tear up the car, they bounce off everything, and they leave 8th in points.
Yeah.
Then you hear about the guys, so I'm just going to go out, I'm going to throw the points out the window, I'm going to go out and race and have fun, and they win the title.
Yep.
And that's the funny part is when I was racing with Matthew, we never said, we're going to race for points. No. But then we somehow find ourselves in the top 3, top 5.
In the title hunt.
And it's
all
like,
of a sudden you're racing for points.
And we're sitting there and we're like, we shouldn't have taken that week off.
Yep.
Isn't that funny how that works out, though?
I don't know why it always does that.
I don't think.
But bottom line, it's all for fun.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're not having fun out there, why be there?
Exactly. How many years you been racing, Randy?
Since 1998. So what is this? This will be 18 years, I believe. Yeah.
You're coming up on 18 years.
Yep, and got his first title.
Took you 18 years of having fun to get a championship? No. Congrats to you, Randy. That's an awesome milestone.
Since they brought the Super Sports back, I think the worst I've got is 3rd in points. I've been up there every week. Everything just happened to go my way last year. I was consistent. I know the last couple of years, it seems like running with Gil Pickett, Brian Smith, Steve Moore, it's made me have to be consistent and be faster.
Especially
That's
against
a big
those
word
guys.
when it comes to winning a championship. You got to be consistent.
Well, and that field of cars that you mentioned in the Super Sports, the 3 drivers plus, you had Brian Thompson last year, and you had, Dybel out there in the mix. I mean, that field of cars is so competitive. You've got to be consistent, and you better bring your A game every week because you cannot sleep on anybody in that division.
Yeah, like Joel was saying, you take a weekend off, man.
That's
you're
it.
done.
Your title hunt. Yeah, your title hopes are over in that class.
No,
but
and anybody can win on any week, it seems like. I mean, look at last year. The first race, I think that it wasn't me or Thompson that won was Sean Cronk, and I think that was in July sometime.
Yeah, it was late. We're into the season quite a bit before we had another winner, but yeah, you guys had a heck of a battle, back and forth. And
it seemed like it was either me up front and him running second, or he was up front, I was running second or third. It's like
you guys were always really close together. Yeah, it was a great deal. But kind of going back to what we were talking about as far as having fun and winning a championship, I think race drivers are worse as far as putting pressure on themselves than any other athlete out there, football, basketball, whatever, because it's you. It's you and the car trying to work together. You're adapting to the track, changing in the car, changing, and you're in the hunt, and you got to finish ahead of the whatever car. And the pressure that I think you guys put on yourselves is greater than I think even any other athlete in any other sport.
I agree.
Exactly, yeah.
Because when you're an athlete in like a stick and ball sport, you only have to be responsible for your performance. But when you're talking motorsports, you're responsible for your performance as a driver as well as
the car itself,
the equipment you're running. It's a huge. It's really a 2-athlete sport. The first athlete is, of course, the driver.
Yep.
The second athlete is your equipment, is your car. I mean,
that's true.
Look at how many mechanical failures Randy had this last year. His car was on point last year.
Yep.
There's too many years I've tried to run for points, and something always comes up, and then you get frustrated with yourself, this and that. Last year, I just went out there, was just having fun. I just was trying to go for the wins, not caring about points, didn't it?
It showed. It made a big difference. Yeah.
I don't know what you changed about this last season, Randy, but watching you drive in a 2016 season at Willamette Speedway versus watching you drive in 14 and 15, you changed something. I don't know if it's something you did to the car or a school you went to, but there was a great improvement over the last.
As a matter of fact, we talked about that in the last segment.
We did.
We were talking about drivers that had most improved.
Your name
over
was
the
brought
years.
up in that.
Your name was one of them that came up in that conversation.
Now you won the title in the Rayburn chassis.
Yes, I did.
See, now I find this funny because the sideboards come back with the the no tops, and the old Rayburn wins another title. I mean, the Rayburn cars at Willamette with sideboards are notorious for parking in victory lane.
Yeah.
They work.
And then last year, Brian Smith won the championship in a Rayburn.
In a Rayburn, that's right. So back-to-back championships with the Rayburn cars. And, we go back to when you started racing in the late 90s. Everything that was won out at Willamette was in a Rayburn.
Exactly.
I mean,
you bring a Rayburn to Willamette Speedway with a board or not, it's like taking a gun to a knife fight.
It kind of, and historically, yes. I think now we're at a transition point where a lot of the stuff is caught up. But with these sideboards, the Rayburn and the swing arm and the big board combination, it just works so well at Willamette Speedway. I think if you were going to make a serious run for the title in the Super Sports, why wouldn't you buy a Rayburn? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the Swartz car that Thompson had worked very well. But
yes.
Winkler's GRT worked pretty well too last year.
He's kind of struggled in the first half, but the second half, when he got that first win, then it was like, okay, he put his name in the hat with Thompson and Barley, and it was a 3-car shootout for the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And he really made up a lot of ground, but in the end, it was the 13B walking out with the hardware. And
yeah, I was just trying to be consistent. Other than, I think, the one night I ended up breaking a drive plate, and I ended up finishing, I think it was like 16th, 17th, way back that night. I think my worst finish other than that is about 5th.
But, the night you broke that drive plate was late in the race, and you were running up in the top 4 or 5 when that happened. I mean, it was just...
Randy Boyd was driving the 10 car that night.
Yep.
I just passed him. Winkler ended up winning that night, but it's like, I remember I was slowly reeling him in, and I don't know if I could have passed him or not, but I was coming.
Yeah, I remember that happened out of turn 4.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I remember when that happened, and it was kind of like, oh, no. Yeah, it was really probably your first stroke of bad luck over the course of the season.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, every year it seems like the middle of the season I struggle some. Something always bad happens. I don't know what it is. And I thought, okay, is my
it?
dream? Is my dreams going away now?
Well, I can see how that can happen because, again, race drivers, the pressure they put on themselves is immense. I mean, as competitors,
Super Sports are making a comeback. They're a good show every week.
Absolutely. Well, they are.
There's getting to be more and more of again.
And the quality of the
quality.
cars—that's the thing.
It's a very competitive class.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to win.
It is. And those cars are so different because people around the country see pictures of Super Sports at Willamette and they're like, "What the heck are those things?" They got wedge noses, no tops, sideboards like they had back in the '80s, and they're running slick tires, asphalt slicks. Really? What is that? I mean,
until you've been out to Willamette Speedway and seen these Super Sports, it really doesn't come full circle. You're bringing back old school, open late model racing.
Right.
You've got the boards, you've got the slicks, you've got the open top. You can actually see down in the drivers, watch them work their hands.
Yes.
You can't see their feet, of course, but you can see them actually working to put that car, set that car, get into the corner.
They got their hands full.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But what amazes me is where we've gone with the shock packages and the setup and the knowledge that we have on these late model cars now. I mean, basically, you're in a late model car on asphalt slicks. To make those cars work, you look at the lap times for the Super Sports to the late models. On a good night, they're not that far off each other.
Correct.
No, they're not.
I mean, they truly aren't. And to make those cars work the way they do on the slicks, I mean, you guys you're going to work.
To be fast on the slicks, you got to do a lot of work to your tires.
Yes.
You got to be on top of the tires. You can't slack on that. That's one big thing.
It's and that's one of the most important parts. With the shock packages, I think being the most important on these cars now. The tires are what put you on the ground.
Yeah.
You got to make those tires work.
I spend at least a minimum of 1 to 2 nights a week just working on tires, keeping them all prepped and keeping them exactly how I want them.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
You have to. It's all about taking however many horse you got coming off that crank, let's say 600 horse, putting it through a transmission, through a drive shaft, into the rear end, and putting it to the ground using those black rubber tires.
Which is a lot harder than you think.
Well, especially when you start talking, you're on a dry slick track. I mean, and I've been out on it with the fire crew. I'm sure, Randy's been out on it. We've all been out on that track. And even with good soled shoes, tennis shoes, athletic shoes, you can slip and fall and hurt your tailbone.
Yeah, you don't have the side bite that even the G60 has.
No.
I mean,
you don't these tires, they're a hard tire.
They are.
Yeah.
And with no side bite to get that car to roll over, I mean, you're better have something else working on the car other than the tires to help you put the power on the ground.
You have to work on the setup. You have to work on your springs, all types of different stuff. Trying to get side bite built in that car,
which is key, and that's the big sideboards do help with the side bite. But let's go back to the season. When did you start thinking to yourself, okay, we're in the points mix, we're going to make a run? Did that ever enter your mind, or were you just out there the whole time just to have fun? Because at some point, you got to start thinking about that.
I was always a little bit in the back of my mind, like when he hit about July or so. But I really never concentrated on the points. I just was out there trying to have fun, do the best. I just want to try to win, do up front, and be the most competitive I could be. And then we got about the last month of